President Obama's trade agenda brings traditional policy tools into the 21st century and offers a more comprehensive look at development. This agenda is formed by hard-headed, honest assessments of trade's potential to contribute to development, as well as its limits.
The single most effective provision in AGOA 1, in the initial AGOA program, was the revolutionary idea of providing duty-free treatment to a product that might be sown in Africa by seamstresses, maybe in maybe in factories and so on, but could it come in duty-free even if the third country fabric, the major component, came from the Far East, came from China, Bangladesh, India, it is eligible. This has created more employment in Africa, perhaps than any provision within AGOA, and more important, has enabled AGOA to benefit countries like Lesotho, Madagascar, Swaziland, Kenya, to mention a few countries. Unfortunately, for the moment, this special origin rule only applies to garments. And the future of Africa is in non-traditional manufacturing, which is well beyond garments. In fact, if one thinks of what the future is, if Africa is to follow the development path of other countries, they would focus on being incorporated into world-class supply chains, assembly lines. The current origin rule suffers from two problems, or two weaknesses, which is true of all origin rules. So what I'm suggesting is revolutionary. Number one, it requires that the product be finished in the country where the benefits are to be given. But under a modern assembly line, one chooses the stage of production based on efficiency. And it may be that Africa's value added occurs at an intermediate stage and is finished in a developed country. So the major change will be unique, heavy lifting, involved work, but it could really make Africa a prime location for any supply chain that's being developed in the world and so on, is to allow duty-free treatment for a product, even if finished outside of Africa, but which contains a certain minimum of identifiable African value. And this is a new concept. Given modern technology, one can definitely guarantee the input, the components, the guts of the product were produced in Africa, but you may have to introduce it on a pilot project, maybe for sectors, maybe for registered supply chains or reasons. But this would be very positive. The second one, the United States, as you know, is in the process of negotiating free trade agreements with many countries, some labor intensive, like Vietnam, like Malaysia, some manufactured countries, for example, with Europe. If when you calculate value added in these agreements, you could include African components towards meeting the origin requirement, or if Africa could include in this production products from any one of a U.S. FTA partner, you will extend the possibility of Africa assembling, Africa processing, Africa's participation in assembly lines ad infinitum. But let me tell you, you put this in, and if you will see Africa take off like a jet in terms of participating in this kind of production.
According to anthropologists, the ability to trade across long distances is one of the traits that separates us from other species. From the laying of the Silk Road to the rise of the great trading states like the Ghanaian Empire to the discovery of the New World, trade has always been central to development. And the link between trade and development has never been stronger than during our most recent chapter of world history.